everyone, welcome back to my channel. So big and exciting news. I know you can't tell because I'm still in my bedroom, but my isolation is officially over, and it has been for 2 days now. Technically, I could have gone back to work this past Monday, but I just wasn't on the schedule until yesterday, and now I have another day off. So I had 1 day of work and now I'm off again. I think starting tomorrow I'll have like a regular week. Everything is getting back to normal, so I thought I'd give a little update, a DCP in general update, and also a couple of COVID things that have happened. First of all, I want to thank everyone for watching my previous video regarding my diagnosis. I'd like to thank you all for the well wishes. I got a lot of messages and comments, wishing me well. Appreciate you all. So overall with my case, I think my worst day was definitely the second day. Not the day after I got diagnosed, but like the second day I started having symptoms was the day that I had like the most present, most active at one time. Every other day after that, I didn't even have to take medicine or anything. Like I practically forgot about it. So I spent an entire week here in my room by myself. The way I passed the time was mostly by watching lots and lots and lots of shows. I watched all 3 seasons of Avatar and Legend of Korra. I watched Gravity Falls, all 3 High School Musicals and Sharpays, Fabulous Adventure, and High School Musical the Musical series, the entire Twilight Saga, the college season of America's Next Top Model, with Paris, you name it. So again, I was fortunate enough that my symptoms were very minimal. So the biggest thing I was suffering from was boredom while I was here. It was quite a time just sitting, watching TV all day. It was quite lonely, I will say. I saw 2 humans for an entire week, and they were my roommates, and they flinched and scurried away every time they saw me. Understandable. But yeah, it was pretty lonesome in that time. Fun fact, this is actually my second time recording this video. The first time I recorded it was actually my first day out, and I celebrated being free of isolation by going to this restaurant called Leguminati, and I got a crunch wrap, and it was really good. Like I said, I have returned to work. I had my first day back yesterday. It was pretty normal. Like there was nothing significant. I got a couple of like, oh, glad you're back, glad you're okay, that kind of thing. That was pretty much it. Same exact routine, otherwise completely normal day of work. Today is Thursday, which is normal paycheck day, and I actually got my paid time off leave money or whatever. Like I got my paycheck for last week. The way it ended up working was last week I got an overdue notice for my rent, and it needed to be paid by today. And then today they paid me, but I think it paid for next week's rent. So it was a little weird, but I did end up getting compensated for last week, so it all worked out in the end. Overall, I would rate Disney's response to this whole thing as a maybe 6 out of 10. I did feel like during my whole process that I had to do a lot of the work myself. Like I had to be really proactive as far as telling my roommates, for instance. Like no one reached out to them from like Disney or anything until like 3, 4, 5 days into it. So like if I hadn't told them, they probably wouldn't have known. Or like the paycheck thing, if I hadn't reached out about the paycheck, I don't think that would have happened either. At no point was I given like any email with information about who to call or what to do or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I think there was a lot of effort put into like how not to get COVID, wash your hands, they gave us masks, hand sanitizer, all this stuff. But yeah, as far as once you actually have it, I kind of felt like a little on my own there. Once again, luckily my situation was not in any way dire, but had it been, I would have been a lot more concerned about like the flow of information and stuff, because again, I had to do most of like the research, the phone calls and stuff by myself. I had to get those started, or else I don't know if or when they would have happened. But other than that, a couple other Disney College Program updates. So I would like to briefly discuss my role. So if you're new around here, I am a house person at the Riviera Resort. So a timeline of events. When I first got here, it was before I started working, before I had training or anything. There was this group chat, a group me. In the group me, one day before I had started work, so this was maybe like the second week that the program was open, these couple of people came in the group chat and they just texted, hey guys, be on your toes, this is like the worst thing ever. And they weren't giving any details. They all worked at the same location, so they're all probably talking about the same incident, but they weren't like really being descriptive or specific about anything they were saying. They were just kind of giving vague warnings about how like this is the worst thing ever. Like, something needs to be done about this. It's really bad, terrible situation, etc., etc. Now, when these people came in the group chat and gave all these really vague warnings about the role, it stressed a lot of people out because they weren't being specific. A lot of people were like disagreeing with them and saying like, oh, you should just go talk to your leaders if you're having a bad time, you know, whatever. And people were really upset that they just kind of like dropped a bomb and left. Keep that in the back of your mind. So when I started my training week, things were going fine. Like, I had a really good trainer. She had been at the hotel for like a while, lots of experience as a house person. And when I was training, I always had another DCP person with me. So on any given day of training, there were 3 people doing one person's job, and it was never that bad. Like, training week, I was like, okay, this is fine, you know, whatever, no big deal. And I felt pretty good about the role. Like, I even recorded a whole training week video, and I ended up scrapping it because by the time I had my first day of work, things were not going well. Now, if you'll remember that group chat story from just a moment ago, I completely understand where those people who were warning the group chat were coming from. I completely understand wanting to warn people about this role, and I completely understand why you can't be specific about it. I don't want to stress anyone who is watching this out about what the role is, because it's specifically one aspect of it. It's the AM house person shift that was really giving me grief. So my first day of work, I get there, you know, I'm ready to go. By the end of the day, I had an hour-long anxiety attack on the boarding dock outside of the hotel. I had been hyperventilating up and down the hallways. It was literally a disaster. Now, mind you, I've never worked in a hotel before. I've only worked in theme parks and restaurants. To give you kind of a point of reference, in a restaurant, if there's a big day coming up, like a big day that would be popular in a restaurant, let's say Valentine's Day, the day that the restaurant is going to be super busy is Valentine's Day. Like, it's going to be that day. In a hotel, it's the opposite. If there's a major holiday, it's not the holiday that's going to be busy in the hotel, it's the day after. So for context, my first day of work was July 5th, which meant that everyone was checking out from the 4th of July. So my first day of work was way busier than the average day. I will grant that. But there is one specific aspect of the job that I was completely uncomfortable with. It was causing me so much anxiety that I almost couldn't function. I was not having a good time at all. The story I'm telling is probably pretty vague, and I want to go into more detail about it, and I will in a future video at a later date. But in the aftermath of that very first day of work, I found it really hard here on the Disney college program. I found it hard in general because I was trying to express to people like how I was feeling, how, like, is there any way I can fix the situation? And whether it was Disney college program people, the recruiters or whatever, or like the managers at my location, the vibe that I got from everybody was like, suck it up or go home type thing. And that was really harsh. And I don't use like pseudo-psychology terms, but it was like kind of gaslighting me, like acting like I was overreacting to this thing that like was it was a big deal for me. I know me being all vague about it probably isn't helpful, but even what I just said, I'm like, will I get in trouble for saying that, even if people don't even know what I'm talking about? I don't know. That first 2 weeks was the absolute worst. I have not felt that bad since my junior year of high school, but every week after that has been okay. So I am learning and I am going through this whole, you know, everything happens for a reason, but there are a bunch of different positions in housekeeping and house personing and stuff. So some of the ones I've worked are, I've worked AM house person, I've worked PM house person, mid shift, I've done amenities, and we were kind of doing stocking, and base. I've also worked in base. But the way it worked for a while was that they were moving us around every like 2 weeks or so. Like, you would train for 1 week and then you'd be on your own for 1 week, and then we'd all move to a new position, all 5 of us Riviera DCP people. We've been on the current shift, the mid shift, for a little while, and this one's okay. This one has its pros and its cons. Cons of this specific position that we're in is that it's 12 to 8:30, which is kind of awkward as far as like the setup of the day, because it's slightly too early in the day to go do anything before noon, and it's slightly too late in the evening for you to do anything like after, as far as like maybe you want to go to the park or whatever. It's exactly in an awkward position so that you can't really do anything else throughout the day. But the mid shift is the shift where you get a bunch of free snacks. So when people leave their hotel rooms and they like have to, you know, get on their airplanes, get back in the car, repack everything, whatever, a lot of people leave behind a lot of food and a bunch of other stuff, but mostly food. Mid-shift house people and the housekeepers pretty much have free access to whatever is left in the room. It can't be anything valuable that you keep, and it can't be anything like that would have sentimental value, but like food, drinks, that kind of stuff, fair game. So I have gotten so much free loot from the Riviera guests leaving their whole 12-case pack of Gatorade. Ooh, I got a Proactive green tea moisturizer that somebody left. Literally just random stuff. You'd be surprised at the stuff people leave in hotel rooms. But yeah, I'm mostly drinks, mostly juices. If you could see under my bed all of the drinks that I have from the Riviera, I never have to worry about buying beverages ever again. So the current ranking of the positions that I worked at the Riviera is probably PM shift, amenities, mid shift, base, stalker, and then AM house person. You know how there's like compliment sandwiches where there's like a positive thing, a negative thing, and a positive thing? Well, this whole role section is probably going to be a positivity pizza. So I'll put my positives here at the end. Unrelated to me mostly, the Riviera recently got like promoted. I don't know if that's the word, but they earned a, how do you pronounce it? A 4 AAA diamond rating. I think that's how you say it. But basically it's like one of the highest hotel rankings that you can get at the level that we're at. Like it's pretty much the cream of the crop basically. And a different positive thing that happened that is directly related to me is that I earned a 4 Keys award. Ooh, it's the courtesy key. So basically there was one day that me and another one of the college program people were helping out this family in the hotel room, and they took the time to write us a handwritten note.
Ooh. It says, Lisa from Texas, good luck earning your ears. Thank you for taking the time to answer our questions and be patient with our young children. Lisa is part of the Disney College program.
Ooh. So yeah, the mom wrote this note out, and then our manager like reprinted it and they delivered it to us, and it was all special and we got free popsicles. And that's kind of the update on my role.
Welcome to the Tipton,
where everything is sweet.
Try joining us for dinner. May we offer you a seat?
Next time stay at the Tipton. The Tipton puts you on top. When you stay at the
Five! And why aren't you in uniform? It's about time you got here!
The next update's kind of going to be a social life kind of update. When you first arrive on your DCP, I thought this was really funny. The go-to example that all of the like higher up people are going to use for like friendships and stuff and all of the connections you'll make here on your DCP is always wedding stuff, and I don't know why. Every example that they say is going to be something like, oh, so-and-so met here and now they're getting married. So-and-so met here and now they're going to be in their wedding. I just think it's funny, like all across this whole property, everybody says that. So with that in mind, I will say I have neither met my groom nor my bridesmaids here. It's been kind of weird, honestly. I feel like I've been like a step behind from like the very first week, basically, because I feel like the first week a lot of people were doing their like initial bonding, like maybe you went grocery shopping with your roommates, or you hung out in like the community center and you were just meeting people and stuff like that. Well, the first week of my DCP, my family was still here and I was hanging out with them, so I didn't really interact too much with people during that like core first week, getting to know you, everybody's kind of clicking up time. So I feel like I kind of missed the boat on that. And then part of it's probably just kind of the way I operate socially. Outside of the DCP, a lot of the friends that I have, I've either met because they introduced themselves to me or because we just met through happenstance. I'm not somebody who like just goes up to you and is like, hi, I'm Lisa. I've shot my friendship shot with a couple of people on Instagram. It usually ends with like, oh yeah, we should totally hang out sometime, and then we just never do. I've always been like kind of a lone wolf by nature. Like I've always had a pretty small circle, but I feel like the DCP just kind of highlights how lonely, being a lone wolf can be, but I am going to try slightly harder starting next month to make more friends. I'm going to try to go to more social events, which I will get into later. But yeah, I would like to leave the DCP with a handful of besties, but I'm still working on it. The next thing I'll talk about is kind of some DCP news about stuff that's just going on in general, basically. So one pretty current thing is that right now, one of the opportunities that we've had as college program folk is that we can participate in the cast preview of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which doesn't open until October 1st to the general public. Cast members starting, I think it was August 19th, are able to ride the ride and preview the whole Ratatouille pavilion, which there's a whole pavilion if you didn't know that. There's a whole crepe restaurant back there. There's a bunch of stuff, but we get to see all that before the public. I was supposed to ride it as soon as it opened. I signed up for the first slot on the first day, and what did I do? I got coronavirus. Boo. I actually rode it for the first time today, and it was a cute little ride. I have one more time to ride it as a cast preview, and I'll probably save that for my Epcot vlog, so we'll see. Another chunk of news or thing that's been happening is that extensions were announced. The people that are here right now who came in June, July, August, and I think September basically, anyone who came in that time is probably supposed to leave in December, but an extension is the opportunity for you to extend your program all the way to next July or next August of 2022. From what I've heard from like DCP bloggers that I've watched way long ago, it sounds like your program kind of starts over. You're basically like in the spring program, so your role could change if you extend. Under normal circumstances, there would be an opportunity for you to participate in the spring character audition, so that could kind of be one position your role could change to. Now, I don't know about all of that, but it's possible that could come back. Similar to the extension opportunity is the Star Wars Hotel news. I'll put a little blurb of what the Star Wars Hotel is if you haven't heard.
For the first time, we're going to invite guests to become the hero of their own Star Wars adventure. They will live aboard a starship for 2 days and 2 nights. They will go to this terminal, think of it as a small private cruise terminal, if you will, and you and your family will then be ushered into a launch pod. Simulate the experience of blasting off into space. Everything in the spaceship wants to reinforce that feeling. You're on a Star Cruiser in a galaxy far, far away. We've got the bunk beds that look not unlike what we've seen Chewie sleep in, and both adults and kids alike will get to wield a lightsaber and face off against a training remote. So that training that you do as part of your bridge tour ultimately pays off as part of this much bigger galactic Star Wars story. Planet excursion to the planet of Batuu to visit Blackspire Outpost, Galaxy's Edge, and they'll emerge straight out into the...
Basically, they have offered everyone who is here on the fall program the opportunity to extend and work in the Star Wars Hotel in 2022. It would mean that you're here until June or August, basically, and they're having information sessions for it in early September. Mine is September 9th. I don't know if I'll actually do it. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. Like, I've seen all the movies. I'm not like a diehard, but the thing is, the Star Wars Hotel is a couple $1,000s a person, and it is extremely unlikely that I will be able to experience this ever in my life if I do not work there. So yeah, I'm going to the information session. We'll see what we can find out. Like I mentioned before, I'm gonna try to go to more social events in September, try to meet some people, whatever. So luckily, Flamingo Crossings hosts social events literally all the time. You just have to go. A lot of them are out there on the quad, or whatever they refer to it as. So a couple of things that are coming up in September that I'm gonna try to go to is there's a silent disco on September 10th. And September 22nd, there's an event called Fall Fest. Again, old DCP vlogger news. There used to be like these really special events for like whether you were here for the spring program or the fall program. There were like these big seasonal events, and I don't know if this is the new it thing, but I'm gonna try to go to Fall Fest, whatever it should be. It sounded cute from the description. Smaller news, technically over and done with, but room inspections are also a thing on the Disney College program. It's basically when they go through, make sure that everything's safe, I think. Everything works, there's nothing crazy or sketchy going on in the apartment. And I don't know if they're gonna like email us and tell us that we passed, but I'm pretty sure we did. Our apartment looks totally fine. Fun fact, this is as clean as my apartment has been in a very long time because my apartment tends to reflect my mental state, and as I have been in a slump the past few weeks, so such has my room. But during my isolation, I finally cleaned it. Look at me go. I even changed the angle of the camera. Wow. And finally, the last chunk of DCP update stuff that I want to talk about is my marathon. Y'all knew it was coming. So right now my current training situation is basically every other day I either run 3 miles or 5 miles. I'm going later today, and today's supposed to be a 5-mile day. What's working best for me right now is if I put on a movie, like put on a DCOM, I'll put on High School Musical or something, and I just say I'm not gonna stop running until the movie is over, pretty much. Finding that's better for like my focus level, because for whatever reason, I need lots of stimulation when I'm running. Like I have my phone playing something and I have it in my headphones. I have the TV going on the treadmill, and I like to use the treadmill that's like far in the corner so I can look down at the pool and watch the pool TV, and I can hear the music from the that's just playing in the gym. I don't know why I need so much stimulation, but I do, and that's kind of been a challenge. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with that on race day. The best time for me to work out has, I've discovered, been like midnight to like 4 in the morning. That's when I'm most like pumped to go to the gym, but it's never crowded at that time. Something I've been struggling with training is that I should like be transitioning to running outside at least like once a week, because the marathon is not on a treadmill. It is not in air conditioning. But the thing is, if I run outside, I need it to be on like a path, because I don't have any form of like smartwatch or anything like that. If I am going to run outside, it needs to be on a place where the distance is like pre-measured, so basically a running track. So maybe when I start doing that, I'll like go to the Riviera, because the Riviera does have like a 1-point-something mile track around it. Another thing about the marathon, I don't know if a lot of people know, is you can't like sign up for it and walk. Basically, like you have to run. You have about 4 hours to finish the race, and if you don't keep up with that pace, what happens is that there is a bus that will pick you up from the end of the line and drive you all the way to the finish line, and you are, for all intents and purposes, disqualified. So the pace that I registered under whenever I signed up for the race was a 10 to 12 minute mile. So for reference, this is the slowest possible pace that I could run the entire time consistently and still finish on time. It's about 4 miles an hour, and this is the pace that I would need to run in order to run a 10 to 12 minute mile. The reason I said 10 to 12 minutes as opposed to just as slow as I possibly can and just take it easy is because during RunDisney events, there's always like entertainment along the pathway. Like there's usually a bunch of characters and like photo opportunities. You run through the park, so like you can take a picture with the castle and like pretty much nobody in it, pick a picture with the Epcot ball, like all of the landmarks of all the parks. It's a pretty big thing to do, so I want time to run fast enough and still be able to have fun and stop and take as many pictures as I want with hopefully a ton of characters. I don't know how they're gonna do that this year. Another race update is that these are the shoes I have been running in. These are my work shoes. They're the only half sporty shoe that I have here in Florida, and it's about time that I invest in like a real running shoe, because it's not gonna be long before these get all tattered. So hopefully I can get a good pair of running shoes sometime in the next few weeks to a month or so. I would love to have them broken in well before the race, and I believe that is pretty much all the updates I have on how my DCP has been going. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll definitely answer. Really quick, you guys know I love a quick haul or whatever, so this is some of the stuff that I have acquired since I've gotten here on my DCP. You guys probably haven't, but you may or may not have seen my last video, which was me reacting to the new Marvel What If series. It's my worst performing video in over a year. Feel free to go check it out. But anyway, I got Funko Pops from the first 2 episodes. So this is T'Challa as Star-Lord from episode 2, and my camera's sitting on it, so I'll have to pick it up. But this is Captain Carter from episode 1. The new ears that I've gotten, I'm gonna wear these in my new Epcot video whenever I should end up going. I got these just to ride the ride. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I got these Loki ears back when the show was still putting out new episodes. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me wear these a million times. These are my favorite color. Ooh. And a brief montage of all of the pins that I have gotten since I've come here. More in the mail, if you can believe it. That's all I have for you today, folks. Again, I would like to thank everyone for the well wishes and for the views on my last video. on my COVID video, I should say, and on my last one if you watched that. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for watching this one. If you've made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe. Let me tell you that. If you'd like to stick around, I like to post really long solo park day videos. I got some big things planned for Halloween. Lots of videos for the Halloween, Christmas, holiday season type thing. It's my favorite time of the year. I'm so excited. So excited, in fact, that right after I finish recording this, I'm gonna go work on one of my Halloween projects. It's gonna be cool, I hope. But with all that being said, I would like to thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Toodles!
Return of the snack. Return of the snack.